Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm here with a new video. It has been quite a while, so I kind of feel out of the loop with how to do this YouTube thing again. And today we're going to kickstart off autumn or fall with some cozy things that are crafty. So we're going to talk about the fall knitting plans that I have, some sewing plans that I have, also a quilting pattern that I would love to make, books that are on my radar to read, and also some baking things that I would love to get to. So we have a bunch of different crafty and cozy things. Usually I would just make a fall knitting patterns video only, but honestly it's not very realistic for me to make that video anymore because I'm a knitwear designer, so I just can't show you a bunch of knitting patterns that I would like to knit because I know sadly I'm not going to have the time to be able to make them. So I don't want to do those kind of videos anymore, nor do I want to do a pattern lineup because honestly those just kind of bore me to make them. So that's why this video came to life. And before I get any questions, I think maybe I will. The sweater that I'm currently wearing is the Fiona flower sweater. This pattern is available on my Ravelry and Etsy and also on my website. So that will be a link down below. This is one of my most fall looking sweaters, so that's why I put it on, because it's brown and also with the Henley style. I think it's very fall appropriate. I was actually thinking of designing another thing with the buttons in the front because I just think it's a really cute element, but I'm still thinking about it. First of all, I do want to quickly mention the two designs that I'm thinking about making for fall, and I will put some inspiration pictures on the screen just to kind of give you a visual idea. And I just want to show you because these are the only things that I really have the yarn for, and these yarns are really nice, so I just want to quickly show you. This is a brand that I've never worked with. This is called Navia, and we have here the Navia Trio, which is a 100% pure new wool. This is a DK weight yarn, so 50 grams has 120 meters. And I just absolutely fell in love with this color. It's a very, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's a very warm and orange looking brown. So it's really like the color of fall leaves. So it's stunning. So if you're looking for a very fall looking yarn, then this is definitely a nice one. So to hold with that, I got some Navia alpaca, which is a lace weight alpaca yarn, which is really nice because I'm a little bit allergic to mohair. So I think this will be perfect for me. So it's 100% alpaca, which I'm so excited to try out. Then I think this has 25 grams. It doesn't say, but it does say that it has 230 meters. Oh yeah, it's 25 grams. It says it right on the front. And these colors I think go together perfectly. So I'm super excited to make something with this. And this is going to be a drop shoulder sweater. It's going to be a little bit inspired by, for example, just to give you an idea, like the Salty Days sweater by Kotova Kika. And I think it's called, I don't know, it's a very popular petite knit pattern, but also for example my Tallulah texture cardigan, which has a bunch of little blocks that are, separated. It's going to be kind of like that, so a drop shoulder sweater, but I'm going to take inspiration from my Vivian vintage cardigan, the textures that are in that sweater, and then I'm going to turn that into a sweater that has little blocks and drop shoulder. So I know that sounds a little bit complicated, but it's going to be a fusion of different elements, and for some reason I just think it's going to be really nice and textured. So that is something that I would love to get to. I just have to finish one whip first because I cannot work on multiple things at once. I just don't usually do that with my designs. But then the other thing that I would love to design is a classic cable sweater, preferably a raglan sweater, which I've never designed a raglan. So I just kind of keep putting it off because it's intimidating me, but I think it will be really nice. And I do think it shouldn't be that hard, but it's really intimidating to me right now. So I just have to, be in the right mind space to get working on it. But I have here the Lana Grossa Merino Uno that I'm going to hold together with the Lana Grossa Sophia, which again is a mohair alternative lace weight yarn, so it should be really nice. And also these colors I think will give a really nice dimension because this one is a little bit more of a pure white, while this one is more beige. So the Merino Uno is the color 2. This is a worsted weight yarn, but to me it looks more like a DK weight yarn. It's 50 grams for 125 meters and it's 100% merino virgin wool. And I also think this is not a too expensive yarn. Like, of course it's more expensive than drops, but it's cheaper than Sannes Garn, if that makes sense. And then the Sofio, this is color 17, and this is 60% virgin wool, 30% cotton and 10% cashmere, which I just think is a very interesting composition of yarn. And 25 grams will give you 215 meters. So I'm very excited to try this out. It does come in more colors, although I think most of the colors are a little bit more pastel looking. So maybe it's more for spring and summer, but right now for something neutral really you cannot go wrong. So I hope this will be a nice combination. So those are just some, well, 2 designs that I would like to knit probably pretty soon, because I kind of forgot that in order to have knitting patterns ready for this year, things need to be ready by mid-October, and we're already nearing the end of September, it feels like. So I'm a little bit in a time crunch and I have been slacking, to be honest. But anyways, you're here to hear me talk about fall plans. So one cardigan that I have on my radar right now is a really beautiful cardigan. I think it's just released. It popped up on my Reverie and I fell in love with it. It's called the Chalco cardigan, I think it's how you would pronounce it. And it's by Coco Amore. I think it's half fisherman's rib or something along those lines, but it just has a really beautiful texture. And I also really like that this was a drop shoulder, because most of the cardigans that I've seen that have a similar texture or they're like brioche, etc., they have a different kind of construction, and for some reason this one just really spoke to me, and I think it will be really cozy to wear as well. It comes in 11 sizes, ranging from a finished bust circumference of 96 centimeters to 170.5 centimeters. Which is a pretty size inclusive range, definitely for a good amount of ease. Maybe like 20 centimeters of ease would be nice with this one. Then it's knit on 5mm needles, and they use like a blown type of yarn together with a hand-dyed suri. And I think it will be a really nice and classic cardigan. Then the next cardigan pattern that is on my radar is a little bit more of a basic cardigan, which is why it's actually also really drawing to me. Just because I don't really design these kind of basics myself. I like to have other people do that, and then I focus on textured and lacy things, just because that is my area, I guess. So this is the Madrid Gris jacket by Soap Knit, which is a really nice designer in general. I really like all of her patterns. And what I really like about this cardigan in particular is that I think she took inspiration from the, is it called Baba? I think it is. It's a really big brand, and people are really inspired by their knitwear in general. I would say that it's very much the style of Ozera knitwear. Her patterns are very closely inspired, I think, as well. But I really like this cardigan with the high neckline, the pockets in the front. And then just to make it a little bit different, it does have a really nice detail on the sleeve as well with the button. So I think it could make a really nice and basic kind of cardigan. For some reason I'm thinking like a pink cardigan. Don't necessarily need that, just looking at the things that I have already, but it would be really cute. And I think it would be, again, so versatile. My favorite kind of thing to wear, you may notice already, is a high neck, round neck cardigan. Those are just my number one thing. It has been actually for a few years. So it's what I like to design, but also what I like to knit from other people. Just love it so much. This cardigan does come in a range of sizes as well, from a 3XS, which I thought was very interesting, all the way to a 5XL, which is a finished bust circumference of 97 centimeters to 161 centimeters. So keeping in mind that it has probably like 20 centimeters of positive ease, it's more size inclusive on the smaller spectrum rather than the larger spectrum. So I think the increment that this pattern is graded is probably a little bit small. It is knit on a 4.5mm needle with a DK weight yarn. I have absolutely no clue what kind of yarn I would like to use. Maybe something tweedy could be nice. And then the final knitting pattern that I have here is the Dagmar jacket by Petite Knit, which I just absolutely love. And I just keep seeing it pop up, like a lot of people are making this pattern right now. It's incredibly popular, but it is for good reason. I think this is very much a classic drop shoulder cabled cardigan, but then modernized. So it is very vintage looking. If you look at vintage patterns a lot, like you will see the similarities, but of course it's knit in a modern way and top down, etc. So that's why I really like it. I really love vintage knitting patterns as well, but I just don't want to do like the math or the mental brain space, like the thinking that it requires to be able to knit things top down and without seaming, etc. It's just not really something that I want to do right now. So knitting this would be a lot more mindless. I know it's still very involved knit with all of the cables, etc. But it is absolutely stunning. So I know eventually one day I would like to knit this. This one comes in a lot of sizes as well, ranging from an extra small to a 5XL. For a finished bust circumference of 107 centimeters to 158 centimeters. This one is also knit on a 4.5mm needle, but with an Aran weight yarn. So I think I would probably do like a DK weight yarn with a lace weight yarn, probably kind of like this, or also this one. Like both of these could work really nicely. I just have other plans for them, but it would be really beautiful. For the colors, I'm probably thinking something a little bit more neutral, probably also maybe a brown or a beige or something along those lines. I'm not sure yet. I'm actually also thinking now, I forgot to show you this, But I was thinking maybe of using this yarn that I've had in my stash maybe for a year now. I think I bought it last year and I really want to get to using it. But I think this could actually be quite nice for the Madrid gris jacket, because like I said, knitting it in pink wouldn't really like suit my wardrobe because I have other pink cardigans. So if I were to get just like a brown basic yarn, then I could hold this kind of leopard yarn with it, and then I would have a really nice leopard kind of cardigan, which I do see a lot of leopard things popping up again. So I think leopard just keeps coming back for the fall and winter season. So I think it could be really nice, and it would be nice also to finally use this. So I think maybe I should just also do that. I'm not sure. But it's very nice. Oh, and it's a lace weight yarn. I didn't even mention that. But it's by Vildar, and it's just the biggest ball of yarn that I've ever seen, because this is 230 grams and then it has 1265 meters, which is just crazy. So most people, I think, could knit a whole sweater with this. So it's very interesting. And it has 71% wool, 10% mohair, 17% polyamide, and then 2% elastane. So it's mostly natural fiber. Again, it's kind of like a mohair alternative, even though it only has a little bit of mohair still in it. It's definitely a lot softer than like a mohair silk kind of yarn would be. But I do think they have an alternative. So if you want to spend a little bit more money and get more like of that shine from the silk, then they do have that as well, I'm pretty sure. My apologies if this video suddenly got a little bit darker. I did put my brightness up in a camera. Not sure if it's working a lot, but today is basically the most fall autumnal day, which I kind of forgot how gloomy and dark it is in the fall. Like, it's very nice and cozy to be inside, but also it makes my videos really ugly. So sorry about that, but I felt that we were just gonna go like and use the lighting. So I forgot to put up a candle, but I did already put out a little bit of my fall decor. So this is already like a fall video because of that, right? Anyways, the next few things that I have are actually all sewing related. Like I said, I don't have a lot of knitting things that are on my radar. I could go on and on and on and basically show you 100 patterns that I like, but these are just things that are specifically on my radar. Okay, so here we have a little pile of fabric that I have gathered from my stash. These are all already like washed and ready to go, which is always really nice. Everything in my stash is actually like that. So I'm very excited to use all of these fabrics. Some have been in my stash for a little bit longer and some I recently got. So first of all, we have a really nice pattern. And by the way, I'm not going to be mentioning all of the names from the pattern designers because I cannot remember them and I didn't write them down, and I'm gonna butcher names anyways. But everything will be linked below with all of the informations, etc. and all of their names, I promise. So I'm not saying it because I don't want to credit them, but just because it's a little bit difficult for me. But the first one is the Clementine dress, which I am planning to make 2 versions of, actually, which I will also be filming for a YouTube video, so stay tuned, I guess, for that in the future. First of all, I have a really nice chambray denim, which is going to be the dress version. I am planning probably a little hack, I'm not entirely sure yet, but I think I'm going to make it with long sleeves. And then this morning I was also thinking about adding pin tucks to those long sleeves. So just a little bit of a modification, mostly because a short sleeve dress in a denim fabric like this, just it's not the most suitable for me to layer with cardigans, etc. because it is going to be a fall dress. So that's why I think a long dress would just be a little bit better. So that is what I'm planning for this beautiful fabric. And I'm planning to make the button up view just because I think the buttons give a really nice extra detail, especially if they're tortoiseshell or brown buttons, then it just immediately looks like a fall item. And then the next one that I'm planning is going to be in this brown quilting cotton, which has a really nice like ditzy floral. It's very subtle. It does feel a little bit more like a typical quilting cotton does, so it's a little bit more stiff, but I feel like it's still going to be nice for the blouse, hopefully. Probably, or maybe have to modify the sleeves once again to make them a little bit less voluminous, or voluminous, I don't know. Make them with less volume is what I'm trying to say. Just because I think this fabric, it's going to really stand up, and I think it's just going to be a little bit too much since this pattern already has a lot of volume everywhere else. Again, I think it's going to be the button-up view, and I think it's going to be really cute. And I did order some fall clothing for a video, which I cannot say too much about, but I am planning to wear this blouse with that outfit, and I have it pictured in my mind, and it's going to be adorable. So I'm super excited to get to sewing these. Then the next pattern I don't have a fabric for, but it's the Heritage overalls, which I do know the pattern designer, or I don't. No, no, I can't do it. But the heritage overalls, I would love to make those in a corduroy fabric. Is there anything more fall or winter looking than a corduroy fabric? Probably not. And I think I'm going to go with brown just to make it even more fall or autumnal looking. And I have been browsing or looking for a nice corduroy, or like not corduroy pattern, but an overalls pattern for quite a while. So as soon as I saw this pattern, I just knew I had to get it. And it was really nice because it was actually during the time that they were raising funds for Palestine. So all of the funds or the money that was raised during that time went to a good cause. So that's when I got the pattern, which is really nice. So that is something that I'm planning, and probably with gold hardware, because I do find that a lot of the store-bought overalls, they actually have silver hardware, and I'm a gold girl. So I would love to have like gold buttons and gold things just to keep everything matching. I really like that. Then the next one is the Honey Girl tee or cardigan, probably both. And I do know this one is by Paradise Patterns. For some reason I just immediately know that. And I do have a fabric for it already. I actually have this fabric in 2 colors. And I also have a green pointel in my stash, but I just couldn't be bothered showing you all of them. But you can bet I'm going to make multiple versions of that pattern because I think it's going to be super versatile. Again, imagine like the corduroy overalls and then with a pointel knit t-shirt like this underneath. And then like the Dagmar jacket by Petite Knit on top. Like that is a perfect fall outfit basically. And that is exactly going to be hopefully my fall uniform, because that is ultimately me, like something that is comfortable. I love wearing t-shirts like this, like pointel jerseys. I love cables, love cardigans, of course. And I love overalls. Like overalls are my #1 thing that I wear. So it's going to be just perfect. And they did recently have a cardigan pattern as well. So if you live somewhere where it's not like really cold yet and you cannot wear woolly sweaters yet, then I think the Honey Girl cardigan is going to be a really nice one for you. Then the next pattern that I have on my radar is the Daphne dress by Blackbird Fabrics. This one is a little bit more of a summery pattern in my opinion, but I feel like the top version could still work really well in the fall, especially when you have a cardigan on top. Again, cardigans, they keep coming back in this video for some reason, but I think that could be a really cute outfit. But there is a particular sample that they did in a denim fabric, which really spoke to me because it kind of gave like a pinafore dress look, which I think is very cute. And it reminded me of a dress, I think it was by Christy Dawn, but it was a pretty like straightforward boxy shaped dress with some embroidery on the front, which I just thought was super cute. So now for some reason I'm imagining a denim salopette or pinafore type of dress, right? Like dungarees overall dress. And I'm envisioning that with an embroidered pocket on the front, like probably some kind of floral theme. Not sure yet how I would go about that because I do like to embroider, haven't done it in a while, and I can only do it when I have something that is already drawn out. Like I cannot draw it like freehand or embroider freehand, I'm just not that good. So I need something that is pre-drawn. So maybe I have to print something and then trace it or something. I don't really know how people do that, but let me know because I do think that could be very nice. So that is something that I would love to make. And then I would also love to make a jacket pattern. I just haven't found any patterns that would particularly work well for me personally. So if you have any suggestions for me, I'm very petite, so especially on the shoulders. For some reason, when I try jackets in the stores, like everything is just really big and oversized on me. So I need something that's going to be fitted around my shoulders, but it can still be oversized. But I just found, in general, also with the sewing pattern, sadly, that when a jacket is oversized, it's just even more oversized on me. And that's not, really the look that I'm going for, because of course, oversized clothing can be really cute. And I do wear a lot of knitwear with positive ease. But for some reason, when it comes to a jacket, I just look like a child that has put on their dad's jacket or something. And I'm trying to stay away from that. But there is a pattern in particular that I think a lot of people are going to like, which is the Baya Barn jacket by Kate Naughton, which is stunning. And if it weren't for the fact that it's so extremely oversized, I would make it. But I did, I think, check the measurements, and even the smallest size was like really big. I will put the measurements on the screen, but it would give me too much positive ease. So sadly, I cannot make it, but I almost forgot. We have more. I didn't write these patterns down on my list, but I do have 2 really cute fabrics. This one I actually just got. This is again a quilting cotton with this really beautiful mustard yellow floral, which I just think is adorable. And then I also have this yarn dyed gingham fabric that just screams like a pumpkin patch for some reason, with that pink in there. Really cute. I'm thinking the Valdivia dress by Alyssa threads, which has been on my wish list for over a year. And I think I should finally just get that pattern, and it would be really nice, I think, as a dress, but also as a blouse. And that ruffle color is just ultimately fall as well, especially overalls with a blouse with that big ruffle color is very cute, but also tights with loafers and a little ruffle color dress is adorable. And I think I would really enjoy wearing something like that. Also, a little thing about me is maybe a little bit weird, but when it's rainy, which it rains a lot here in the Netherlands, I actually like to wear tights to work because I know that I'm going to get wet, but the tights actually dry really fast, like much quicker than if you're wearing jeans, etc. And these fabrics are going to be adorable for that. Definitely more blouses. Like, I wouldn't wear this as a dress in the fall, but this could be a dress, but I think it's not enough fabric actually. I don't remember how much I bought. So. And then the final sewing plan that I have is actually a quilt. So if you have followed me recently, I did post a video about making an entire quilt in 2 days. This one I'm not going to be making in 2 days. I'm going to take my sweet time with it. And this is a really nice pattern. It's a little bit more simple, definitely more beginner friendly. So I think a lot of people will be interested in this pattern. It's really nice. It's by Prairie Quilt Co. and it's called the Gingham Days and Night Quilt. I'm more interested in a night version. The night version has the stars, whilst the day version has more like simple blocks. So it's a little bit more simple, I guess, in making it as well. And for some reason I was really feeling pink and green at the moment that I bought these fabrics. So these are going to be kind of like my main fabrics. So for the stars that are in it, I'm going to just use scrap fabrics or whatever I have in my collection. And then this is going to be the main fabrics that is going to make that gingham motif. So I do believe this is going to be the background, and then like the little blocks are going to be these 3 darker colors, which is going to be really cute. This is not like the most autumnal color palette, but I do feel that it's going to be really nice for this time of year. Also, we have a green sofa, so I just think it would be really cute to have a green and pink quilt. So that is something that I'm planning to make. This is the only quilt pattern that I have planned right now, because yeah, it does take a lot of time and I have just a lot of other things going on, to be honest. But I'm very excited to start making it because it's hopefully going to be a nice finished object. It's absolutely pouring outside, so I hope you can still hear me properly and you don't hear a ton of rain. But fingers crossed, and maybe it's a nice sound. I don't know. But the final thing that I wanted to talk about for this video are some baking things. I'm going to share some recipes with you that I have never tried. So again, if you have any recommendations or things that you love to make during this time of year that are very fall or autumnal, probably not anything pumpkin spice, because I know a lot of people use that, but we are not a big lover of pumpkin things in this household. So I think I'm going to stay away from that. But any other suggestions are completely welcome. So all of these recipes that I have picked out include apples, because I do really like things with apples and it's very fall. And also maybe I think we're gonna go apple picking this year, so it would be nice to pick some apples and then to use them in these things. So we have some apple cinnamon muffins that look really good. They have kind of like a crumble texture on the top, and I think it could be a little bit more basic probably. And then we have one that is a little bit more festive, I guess, is the salted caramel apple pie cookies, which just looks absolutely delicious because the apple pie, or like the apple part, is actually like a filling. So they're very thick cookies, and also with caramel. I mean, doesn't everybody love caramel? So this recipe is also really speaking to me right now. Then also the apple cinnamon blondies look really nice, also because the apple in there seems to be hidden, because my boyfriend doesn't love when there's actually like actual fruit in things that I bake. And also the maple cream cheese layer on top looks delicious. And then the final thing that I would love to make are apple crumble cupcakes, because my sister actually used to make a lot of cupcakes like more than 10 years ago, and I have really fond memories of that, and I've never tried it for myself, and I think it could be a lot of fun. So I really want to start baking more. Until recently, or like, well, I used to bake more back when I lived at home, which was a few years ago, but in my current house I just haven't baked a lot, and when I do bake it's from a package, which I don't really think counts as baking. It's more so preparing something that is a baked good. So it's not really baking where you're like measuring things, etc. And I would love to get back into it. So yeah, do send your suggestions my way. It doesn't even have to be necessarily super festive, I guess. Like, I'm open or up to anything at this point, just to get this hobby like restarted again, because I just think it's a lot of fun, and also I love to eat the things that I bake, because that is one of the perks as well. Just like wearing the knits that you knit, right? So these are all of the... Oh, I almost forgot. I didn't talk about any of the books yet. I was going to do the book segment before this, but I just jumped over it. I was very distracted by the rain. My apologies. But I also have a huge list of the books that I want to read right now. We are going to go through those quite quickly because I haven't read any of them, except for one, which is just a recommendation to you. I don't know if these are any good, the things I'm gonna say, but these are just books that are on my radar and that are very fall and autumn festive. So they are very nice, hopefully. So book number 1 is called The Apple of My Eye by Claire Kershaw. This one I actually have on my Kindle right now, so I've already started, but I'm very much at the beginning so far. It is actually really nice, and also look at that cover. It is very cute. And this one is about a small town romance with like an apple farm, which is very on theme with the baking things that I just talked about. Yeah, and I also thought it was a little bit about sustainable farming as well, which I thought sounds very interesting. So this is the one that I'm currently reading. Then another one that is very highly rated right now. This one is supposed to be released on the September 18th, which is 2 days from now. But by the time you're seeing this video, it will be released. And it's called If It Makes You Happy, which also just the cover of that book with all of the fall leaves looks like the ultimate fall book, basically. And I have heard people saying that this is like the ultimate rom-com book. So I'm very intrigued and I would love to try it out. Then the next one is called Uncharmed. This one I'm a little bit on the fence about. This one is also going to be released this week. And the reason I'm on the fence about it is because I think I will really like it. Like just the premise of the book and the cover, etc. Everything really speaks to me. But the last book that I read from this author, I actually did on an audiobook and it was really boring and I DNF'd it. So I'm not sure if I want to get back into a book of them or like by this author. But also maybe I shouldn't stay away from it just because I had a bad experience with an audiobook. Because an audiobook still, at least for me personally, it's always going to be a little bit of a different experience than reading it myself. So I'm not sure what part gave me a bad experience with this book in particular, but it's on my radar. And then another one that is very high on my list right now, it's by an author that I really love. It's The Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping, which just looks absolutely stunning. Heard great things about it. I loved the A Witch's Guide to... Well, what was it called now? Now I don't remember. Let me find her first book. The other book that she has is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, which I absolutely love. I just thought that book was really cute. Now that I think of it, I don't remember it that well, but I do just remember that it was very funny and that I really loved the family and all of the characters in her book. And I do think I gave that book 5 stars. So I really recommend that if you're looking for like a witchy book to read right now. Then I also have on my list right now A Witch's Guide to Love and Poison. The name is almost the same, but it is by a different author. And just the cover of that looked really nice. And also the Kindle book of it was very affordable. So I already got it and I don't know if it's going to be nice. Then a book that I'm currently also looking at is Love and Lattes at Pumpkin Hollow, which also just looks absolutely adorable. I'm not sure what it's about. Most of these books are a little bit more romance, like small town kind of thing. That is just what I'm feeling right now, I guess. And then the final book that I have on here that I would love to read is Wish You Weren't Here. I actually came across this in a bookstore and I almost bought it, but I'm just more of a Kindle girl, so I didn't get it. But maybe I should have, but it's €3 on Kindle as well, so I might as well get it on the Kindle and read it the way that I prefer. But I always love a book with a witch, so I think it's going to be a good one. I'm also now seeing Bright by Ellie Hazelwood. That one was also really nice. And it's about like vampires and wolves or like werewolves. So I think that's also perfect for this time of year. So if you haven't read that one, I would really recommend. And I wrote in my review that it's weird, but it works. And that's exactly what this book is. But it's really good. And the one that I also read that I really enjoyed is A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, which one was really funny. I wrote that that was one of the best witchy books I've ever read. The writing style is super funny, cozy fall vibes in a small town. I don't think anybody would want any more than that. Like, that is a perfect fall book. So those are some of my recommendations, some books that are on my radar, as well as all of the knitting, sewing, baking things that I would love to get to work on this fall. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different, you know, talking about a bunch of different hobbies and things and not necessarily being so knitting focused. Still, I really hope you enjoyed this video. For now, I wish you all a very happy day, happy knitting, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!